Yeah. So in the last couple of classes, we looked at array strings and if-else conditions and loops. Today we will look at some properties of arrays and also a new type called list. So arrays by default have a field called length. Like if you create an array, you can just say if you create array A, you can just say a dot length to get the length of A, right? Similarly, arrays also have some methods. These are some methods. We'll look at them. Clear, copy, index of, reverse, and sort. There are many methods. We will be just focusing on these because these are most used ones. Okay, so we already know arrays. So let's try out some of these methods. Okay, so earlier we created an array of size 3 with some 3 numbers, right? And we printed them, right? Now since we know loops, we can print them using loops. So we can just say for each where, yeah, we can say element in A console.writeLine element. All right. So let's move to this folder. And run it. Local variable is already defined. Okay. Let me call this numbers. Okay, let's see. I don't know why this is giving this error. Zoom. Command Shift plus. Okay. Okay, I sort of defined it twice. That is the issue. I have to use only one of these lines. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So we can use a for loop to print this. Now let us look at some of these fields and methods that we saw. So we can get the length of the array, numbers dot length. Let us see. Okay, printed the numbers, and then the size of the array is 3. So it printed 3. Okay, so I can length of the array is, all right. Okay, and let's look at these methods: clear, copy, index of, reverse, and sort. So let's make the array slightly larger. Now we can print it again. It should be minimum 6. Sometimes if you don't know the length, you can even leave these as empty brackets. Okay, it will calculate the length automatically. So if you are giving the elements while declaring itself, then you need not give the length here. If you are declaring separately and initializing separately, then you give the length here and then later initialize each element by element. But since we are giving all the elements here itself, we are also giving the length automatically. So you need not worry about specifying the number there itself. All right. Okay, so it calculated the length of the array automatically. I didn't give the number specifically. I just gave empty brackets and then I gave the elements of the array. It calculated that the array length is 6. All right. Yeah. Now suppose I want to get the index of a number in the array, like where is number 15 stored or where is number 7 stored. So I can use the function index of. Get the index of an element. So here we can just say, all right, now these methods are not normal methods, they are static methods. So if they are static methods, how do I access them? How do you access a static method? How do you access a method normally? A method or a field in an object. How do I call it? Like we already used a method. We already used a field here. What is that field? Just now we used length, right? So this length, how did we call? Numbers.length, right? Length is a field in the object numbers. But what is numbers? Numbers is an instance of the class array. It is a specific array. Okay. Now since each array length will differ, that so-called length should be an attribute of the object, not the class itself. Class itself won't have a length. An instance of an array will have a length, right? So that length attribute should go with the instance. So it cannot be a static field. So length is not a static field. Okay, but many other things, they are independent of the particular object. Like for instance, say if you want to sort an array, this array or that array or that array, the sorting method is same. So rather than assigning it to a particular instance or an object of a class, you keep it with the class itself. Like if you remember the calculator example, addition, subtraction, they are all common methods for any instance of calculator. So those methods are made static so that they remain with the class itself. Okay. Similarly, all the methods that we'll be seeing now, they are all static methods because independent of the array, they will work on any array. Whereas this so-called length, it is associated with that particular array. So it should go with that object, not the class. Okay. But index of, say if you want to find the index of a number, sorry, I should not say, yeah. So I want to find the index of a number in this array, but I should call that index of with array keyword and pass the particular array name and the number. Say I want to find the index of 8. Okay. So index of is a static method. It is associated with the array class itself, not with the array instance. So you should call it as array.index of, and it takes 2 arguments, the name of the array and the number you are searching for. All right. So we can write the index of element. So suppose I want to search for the key. I'll say this key that I am searching is number 9. The index of the key is, okay. So I am searching for number 8. All right. Yeah. Okay, index of the key plus, here I need to add a plus. Yeah. Okay, index of the key 8 is 3, right? It is the 4th element in the array. Index starts at 0, so index of 8 will be 3. All right. Now suppose I want to remove some numbers in the array. You see, array is a fixed length data type. You cannot change the size of the array in any language, right? Even in C, C++, whatever they are. If you want to change the size of the array, the only way is you create a new array and copy the elements from the old array to the new array. You cannot change the size of the existing array itself. All right. So array's length is fixed. If you want to use dynamic length arrays, we need to use something called lists, which we will see in a while. But array itself is fixed. So all you can do is you can override some elements with zeros. Say that is what we call as sort of removing or clearing. So that's all you can do. You can't really remove them in the sense of removing that memory itself. That memory will be there. You are just overriding them with zeros. Okay. So for that, you use a function called clear. All right. So again, clear is an array function. You have to give the array name and the index from which you want to clear. Suppose I want to clear from index 2. And how many elements you want to clear? Suppose I want to clear some 3 elements. All right. So in this case, index 2 means from minus 100. I want to clear 3 elements, that is minus 100, 8 and 2. These 3 I want to clear, that is these 3 I will make zeros. The remaining will remain as they are. So I will override these 3 elements as 0. So now let us print. Okay. Yeah, you see, now the first 2 elements remain as they are, 20 and 15, and then minus 100 and the remaining two elements became 0, and the last element remained as it is. All right. You see 20, 15 they remained as they are, and minus 100, 8 and 2 they became zeros, and 7 remained as it is. So whatever elements you want to clear or whatever elements you want to erase to replace them with zeros, you just use the function clear and give the name of the array, the index from where you want to start, and the number of elements that you want to clear from that index. All right. So let me add a line here. After clearing few elements, okay, and then next one is copy. So now suppose I want to copy one array to another, right? We have a copy function, okay? So you can just say where numbers copy. So first you need to create the array, right? So make it size 6. How do we write? To create an array, what should we write on the right hand side? New int size, right? Yes. Now again, copy is array method. It is a static method. So again, that also belongs to the array class. All right. So the syntax is, what is the source array that you want to copy? Numbers. Where you want to copy? Numbers copy. And how many elements you want to copy? Suppose I want to copy only 4 elements. Okay, I copy 4. Now let us print here. I should say numbers copy, and let us say the elements in numbers copy. Okay, let us see this. Okay, yeah. So actually, let me not clear this so that we know how many elements are actually being copied. So let me comment this for the time being. Okay, so now the original array remains as it is, from which I want to copy 4 elements. All right. Yeah, you see, it copied only the first 4 elements. The remaining 2 are initialized to 0 by default. All right. Next, sorting. Here sorting is quite easy. You need not worry about writing your own sort methods. You just call the sort method and it will sort any kind of array. So again, that is a static method. You just give the array name. Yeah, what do you want? What are you discussing? Ask me. What is the doubt? So you can say after sorting, now you just need to print Yeah, you see, you got the sorted array. -100, 2, 7, 8, 15, 20. Okay, and finally we have the reverse method. Array dot reverse array name. After reversing, here we have sorted the array already. Now we are reversing the sorted array. Okay. Yeah, you see, basically you now sort of got the array in descending order. Earlier you got it in ascending order, now you got it in descending order. So if you want to change the order of an array, suppose you want to sort it in descending order, then simple thing is you first sort it and then call the reverse function. Okay, as simple as that. Alright, so this is clear. So these are some fields and methods of the array class. Okay, array class is sort of fixed, its size is fixed, you can't change its size. All that you can do is you can override some elements with zeros, and if you want to add more elements than those which fit in the array, you have to create a new array, copy the elements from the old array to the new array and fill the remaining elements with whatever you want. Okay, so you can use all these functions: copy, reverse, sort, index of, and clear. So these are the methods that we saw. Okay, I hope we saw all these methods: clear, copy, index of, reverse, and sort. Okay, now let us look at something called lists. So lists are similar to arrays, but they are slightly different in the sense that they are dynamic. You see, you can think of lists as similar to linked lists. So what is the use of having linked lists when you already have arrays? Why do you need to have linked lists? Insertion and deletion is easy. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, lists are dynamic. So when you have data which is sort of dynamic, you don't know its length beforehand. You don't know whether it can grow, it can shrink, you can get new elements, you can delete some elements. So when so many such operations are there, it is better to use linked lists rather than arrays. Okay. Similarly, here also lists serve that purpose. When your array is dynamic, when your list of elements is dynamic, you have many insertions, deletions, all these things, it is better to use list rather than array. Okay, list is also a class, but it is a different kind of class. It is called a generic type. Right now, don't worry what generic types are. It is just a type. It is a class, but it is slightly different, generic type of class. And you sort of define generic types of classes slightly differently. But before that, I'll just list the fields and methods that we will be looking at. Okay, so this also has a field called count, which gives the length of the list. This field is not static field, it is specific to the particular list, so it will go with the object, so it is not a static field. Okay, all the remaining are static. So add range, remove, remove at index of and contains. Okay, so let's look at them. Okay, these are sorry, I should correct myself. These are not static methods. These are also these are normal methods. They are not static, so they will go with the particular object, not the class itself. Okay, so you will understand when we look at them. So let me delete all this. Yeah. So how to create a list? You can say var numbers equal to new list, and you need to give angular brackets. Okay, and give the type of the list you want to create. You can create a list of integers, list of floats, list of boolean values, whatever it is. You can give the type, and here also okay, after that you need to give empty brackets, and here also you can give the elements directly. Suppose I say 1 2 3 4 5 6. All right. Okay, so this is a list. Now say I want to add an element here. Okay, let me reduce some elements because I will be adding elements later. Okay, suppose I want to add an element, say numbers dot add, say some number like 7. Okay, now let's print for each element in numbers console.write element. Okay, I need to change the directory. var element in numbers console.writeLine element. Okay, so it added 7 also to the list and it printed that. Fine. Now suppose I want to add a list of elements to this, or an array of elements to this. Okay, so that also we can do. Numbers dot add range. Here you can create the array there itself and give the elements there itself. Suppose I say again 1 2 3. All right, that's it. So now apart from the numbers which you already have, all these numbers will be added together to the list. You see, these arrays and lists are important later because in Unity you will be dealing with vectors and you will be dealing with lists. So it is better you understand this. So we can say after adding a range of elements, Okay. Yeah, you see, initially you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, and now 1, 2, 3 are also added. Okay, so that is like appending to the list. And then again here also we can have index of, right? So suppose I want to find the index of 1. The function is index of number 1. Okay, so here index of 1 is 0, right? So first let's print that there is one more 1. Okay, we will look at that in a minute, but let's see what number it gives. Yeah, it's saying index of 1 is 0. Now what about this one that is there? So in that case we want to come from the right side. Okay, instead of the first one, say we want the index of the last occurrence of 1. Okay, so for that we have a function called last index of. Index of, or we can say last index of 1, and here all you need to do is say last index of. Okay, you see last index of 1 is 5, but the counting will start from the beginning only. It's not like from the right side you will start counting. It is just that give me the index of the last one rather than the first one. Okay, so you have different functions like this, or it is better to say index of last occurrence of 1. Okay, that's a better way of putting it to avoid any confusion. All right, and then count. We can also count the number of elements in the list. We can say the length of the list is numbers dot count. Okay, yeah, length of the list is 8, right? Earlier initially we had 4 elements, then we added 1 element, then we added 3 more elements, so the total length of the list is 8. All right, now suppose I want to remove a number. Suppose I want to remove 1. Okay, so we say numbers dot remove 1. All right, now okay, after removing I need to print it, right? So after removing, for printing, let's copy this. Okay, you see apart from write line you also have a function called write. Similarly, apart from read line you also have a function called read. The difference between write line and write is write line will write the content and also print it in the, print a new line at the end of the content. That is the only difference. If you just write write, it will not print any space or new line. It will remain there as it is. Okay, so in case you want things to be printed without any gaps, you use write. if you want them to be printed with new lines, automatically you use write line. Okay, now I want to print them in the same line, but I want space. Okay, and at the end I will print a new line. So for this you don't need to write new line also, because write line itself will print a new line. Okay, so let us see how it will print. Even here I can, even in the first time when I am printing them, I can do the same thing. Okay, and I'll copy this also. Okay, now let us see. Yeah, you see, after adding a range of elements, it becomes 1 2 3 4 7 1 2 3, and after removing 1 it becomes 2 3 4 7 1 2 3. So this first one is removed. Okay, actually let me change the very first instance of printing also. Okay, now let us run it again. Yeah, you see, initially it is 1 2 3 4 7, then you added 1 2 3. After adding a range of elements, it becomes this entire array, and then we removed 1. Okay, so I'll write, after removing 1 it becomes 2 3 4 7 1 2 3. All right, but suppose I want to remove all the ones from the list. All right, not only the first one. Then I need to write it in the for loop, right? Whenever you see 1, remove it. Okay. So here we should write after removing 1. So I need to, so let me comment this. Remove all occurrences of an element. Okay, so I need to write a for loop. So let's say for each var element in numbers, if element, what should I write? No, I want to remove the element if I want to remove all the ones. So here in the if condition, what should I write? If the element equal to 1, then numbers dot remove element. Okay. Now let us run this and see. After this we need to print it, right? You see, it is not running because you cannot modify a list in a for each loop. You see, what are we doing? We are saying numbers dot remove some element. That's fine. But where are you doing it? Inside a for each loop. Okay. Why? Because in this for each loop, we are using numbers itself. So this loop will be disturbed. The loop condition will be disturbed if numbers is being modified inside the loop. Right? So you have to use a different method. So rather than using for each loop, use a for loop. Okay? Because in a for loop, all you will need to use is the length of the loop, the length of the list, not the list name itself. Here we are using the list name itself. Okay? So the list itself should not be modified. Okay? So for each will not work since you are modifying the list inside the loop. So use for loop. Okay, so I'll comment this. So we'll say for var I equal to 0, I less than. Now how do I get the length of the list? Numbers dot, in this case it is count. For array it is length, for list it is count. I plus plus if numbers of I equal to 1, numbers dot remove numbers of I. Okay, and then print this. Okay, yeah, you see now it is working, and also all the ones are removed. Fine, yeah. And then suppose you want to what do we say remove all the elements from the list. Okay, now since like I said a list is dynamic, it's not like an array, it can be changed. You can remove all the elements in the list using the clear function. All you need to do is say numbers dot clear and then print the list. So we can say after clearing all the elements. Okay, and here we can say after removing all the ones. Okay, yeah, you see all the elements are cleared, so the list is empty. Fine. In the previous case, if only it was array, it will just make all the elements zeros, but here all the elements are removed, all the elements are deleted. All right, and yeah, so all the methods you can just, in case, see, if you want to search for anything, any method or any such thing, all you need to do is just write C# and list and say a method like this. Okay, so the very first link that you will get will give you all the information. All right, now like contains. So first of all, you see this namespace. This namespace is where the class list belongs to. Okay, like console.writeLine, it belongs to system namespace. Okay, whereas list class belongs to this system.collections.generic namespace. Usually you have to include this namespace for your code to work. Right now VS Code is slightly intelligent so that it is working even without you including this particular namespace, but otherwise you have to include this entire thing using system.collections.generic, right? You have to include that. Including only the top level namespace will not work. You have to know the exact namespace where this class is there, and you have to include that. Many times we may not know that, so you Google it, you will get it. Or there are also tools or plugins which automatically search for this class name in the .NET documentation and include that class automatically. Right now VS Code is including it automatically even without you saying that explicitly, but normally you have to include it. Okay, so this is the definition. of this contains method. Okay, so all you need to do is just look at examples. Basically, it will say true or false whether it contains an element or not. As simple as that. Okay. Yeah, you just need to spend some time. You all the methods, different kinds of methods are given here: index of, last index of, and all those things. Okay, so you should just learn how to look at the documentation and understand the documentation. Whenever you are in doubt, just Google it. You'll understand everything about it. Okay, so yeah, so arrays and lists, they come with a lot of methods. You can use those inbuilt methods most of the times rather than writing the code from scratch yourself. Okay, so yeah, so let us stop here.